Remember, if you even try to say Wuthering Waves Story 2.5 is mid again, I am going to kick you in the balls.
What's up, proxies? I'm FOXSOL, and welcome to another video on the channel. Hope you enjoy. How's it going, proxies? Criticism for thee, but not for me, will be today's following topic of conversation for today's video. A drama-induced topic that many of us in the gacha space, many of us here in the Zenless Zone Zero community, can see right now is heavily influenced by the Wuthering Waves community of gestures that seemingly cannot handle the fact that others may have different opinions related with their game. Criticisms that's often viewed as an attack that harbors basically a destructive ill intention that they do want to believe, but is not necessarily true. I've seen many different great content creators, different players, different friends and acquaintances that has just been torn down for expressing their feelings about things. Whether it was based on a character, echoes, power creep, HP inflation, story, or just in general their own personal experiences. These statements from their own point of view have been met with a weaponized community brought forth to say that you're wrong for thinking this way, you're a Hoyo shield, you're mentally inept. All this brought together by a portion of a community that represents a hateful narrative that cannot accept the responsibility of their own behavior. A community that feels like it needs to critic other communities, other games, but plays the role of victim when it comes back to bite them. I have personally had the pleasure recently to live outside of this cannibalistic culture by moving on to Zenless Zone Zero from the Wuthering Waves community, because I've had the pleasure that to see this community not only attack those in other communities like right now with Zenless, but how they like to eat their own. From creators like Maggie, Varus, Rexland, and many others. We have all, I believe, seen this community's court gesture and leader play the role that no one else can have an opinion other than me. Just because he doesn't like the fact that several people doesn't seem to want to bow down and stroke his ego. It's not a matter about he doesn't want to hear about criticisms about Wuthering Waves. It's about the fact that he wants to be consulted, he wants to be engaged, and he wants to be involved with these conversations. To this man, he has delivered the message to this entire community that he is the only one allowed to criticize the game, and he's the only one to allow others to talk when he deems it necessary. No matter how you roll the dice, this community's court gesture is a person that refuses to learn to take responsibility for his own actions. From crash outs on viewers for having different opinions, remarks of them to comments of hostility, and berates people for the sole purpose of entertainment. He categorizes the word retarded to many of those in the community just because it seems like it makes him feel better about himself. Now, with everything, I just want to ask you, why do you as a community believe that this person is the best representative for you? Just because his main shtick is down with Hoyo? Just because you are mad at a company for not making Genshin Impact better, that you decided to follow a man like this blindly? That because he echoes your thoughts? Well, while my voice might not be big enough to make you stop and question your own actions, I do ask this question. How does constantly belittling a game like Genshin better help support your game at the end of the road? How does Wuthering Waves itself as a game benefit from the constant name calling of others, calling them Hoyo shields, or insulting others by tossing people around the community? I mean, can you explain it to me? You come and you criticize Zenless Zone Zero for HP inflation, power creep, the new mechanics like miasma shield, a bad story, and etc. You agree and cheer for it. However, when someone else, whether it's in your community or not, points out different things about Weather and Waves, such as, hey, you have HP inflation, you do have power creeping, your echo farming kind of sucks, your story, at times, while it's really good, does fall flat in its face a couple of times, you sit there, you defend yourself, and you play victim, and you tell us that we do not have a right to criticize your game. But yet you have the right to criticize these games. How's it fair that you, as a person that hardly plays a game like Zenless Zone Zero and pretends that 30 minutes of playing the game is enough to get an entire picture of how the game operates and works and give a justification on an opinion about an end game? I mean, wouldn't that be the same as if some people would only play 30 minutes of Weather and Waves and then try to tell you how to play the Tower Adversity and Whimper and Waves? Would they not is 30 minutes long enough for that? I don't think so. Because by the end of 30 minutes in both games, you're still not even 5% into the game. Same applies, I think, to even that with, you know, if I only play Weather and Waves 1.0 and I never got to the part to play 2.0, will you not tell me that the game is much different? And yet, you know, if I told you the same about ZZ, that, you know, since its updates, the game has improved, that the game has done better, why do you still call the game mashy and easy if you haven't tried the game since last year? In the end, when it comes down to these criticisms, I will say that, especially with the Weather and Waves community, a lot of the criticisms that we see is not valid. Especially when you see that there's certain content creators, certain influencers, and even certain players out there that likes to hide behind a game and be emotionally attached to it to the point that they pretend that they like the game just to weaponize a narrative around it to use against others. And that's right, I do fully believe that the mass vocalized side of this community is that a bunch of people who quote unquote claim to enjoy Weather and Waves are only there playing the game just to use it as a weapon every 5 seconds against others, pretty much acting like Karens, if you would. Another little example for this is, like, for example, the most recent drama. Someone goes ahead and says that Weather and Waves 2.5 story is a 7 out of 10. You guys go out of your way to beat this man, to try to hurt this man, to tell him that he is wrong, to say that he is factually incorrect, that he does not know what he's talking about, that he skipped an important NPC dialogue which completely ruined the entire story, and you're at his throat for this. But yet, when someone goes ahead and looks at a game like Genshin and likes the story or whatever, you complain at the same point in time, why is there not a skip button? Because this story is boring. Just because the story of Genshin does not jive with you, what's to say that maybe this story of 2.5 didn't jive with this person? Maybe it was a little bit uninteresting. Maybe, just like for me, I could tell you right now, I agree with the sentiments. I give it a 7 out of 10. I thought the beginning of 2.5 was really great. I thought that the story in the mid part was a little bit boring. And then I thought the ending was great. But altogether, I give it a 7 out of 10. I feel that the pacing was a little bit off. And I feel like for Frolova, she needed to have her story extended a little bit longer. Is that an insult when I say that I want a character to have more time on the screen? So yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll end things here, and I'll let you guys in the comment section tell me how you feel. What do you think? Because when it comes down to it, how I feel about everything is that when it comes to a certain community, when it comes to a certain leader of this community, I'm basically being told I'm not allowed to criticize, but they are. That they're the only ones that has the right to do this. So, what do you think? Alrighty, so with all that, if you liked the video, please consider subscribing to the channel. Hitting that like button does help the video with the algorithm. And let's hopefully look together in the future, guys, because maybe these communities will one day band together and hopefully act like grown adults with some class. Alrighty, so like always, guys, keep it classy, keep it jazzy, always keep it real, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.